Hello everyone, my name is Nikhil Malankar and I am the founder and CEO of Game Studios. If you are new here, subscribe to Scalar's YouTube channel and press the bell icon. Also, to learn more from industry experts, check out Scalar's event page which is mentioned in the description. Okay, so now let's talk about software engineering. Anyone who makes a piece of software can be regarded as a software engineer. On the other hand, a game developer is responsible to develop games. So as I mentioned earlier, all games are a piece of software, but not all softwares are games. When it comes to software development, you have to first determine what kind of software is it that you are developing. Are you making a web app? Are you making a mobile app? Are you making a desktop app? Or are you making games? So once you determine what kind of software is it that you're developing, it becomes very easy for you to determine what development tools you are going to use to make these apps. For your mobile applications, you can rely on apps like Android Studio or Xcode. For your game development, you first have to determine what kind of game you're developing. Is it a 2D game or is it a 3D game? For 2D games, you can use softwares like Construct 3. For your 3D games, for your full-fledged proper mobile and PC games, you can use development tools such as Unity Game Engine or Unreal Game Engine. Now moving forward, we will be understanding what is the work of a game developer and a software engineer. So let's begin. So when it comes to the actual work of a software engineer and a game developer, you could say that it is more or less the same. Both of them write code. The two differences that are there in both the things are that the tools that they use and the processes that they follow to write their code. So in case of a software engineer, as I mentioned, it depends on the kind of software that they are making and thereby the tools differ. Whereas in terms of game development, it depends on the kind of game engines that they use. Game engines means the kind of software that they use in order to make the games. Now, when it comes to a software development process, a software developer relies on the software architecture document, whereas a game developer relies on two things, a game design document as well as the game architecture document. And when it comes to the actual work, well, they start writing code and then they follow more or less the similar pipeline wherein the things go into pre-production, production and then testing. When it comes to software development, the very first step is requirement gathering. You have to first determine what is it that you have to make and then jot it down onto a piece of document. This document is then used by the software developer to create that particular software. During this entire process, there's extensive testing that goes into picture, which continues till the point of time the software is completely developed. But when it comes to games, games provide you entertainment and that is very much subjective. So if a software engineer wants to become a game programmer or a game developer, they need to understand game design and mechanics. Now this is exactly what we will be learning in the next video. So let's get started. So how can you be a game developer and a software developer at the same time? Number one, aptitude. If you are a software developer, you by default have the kind of aptitude required to make a game, because as a software developer, you are aware of the software development lifecycle, which more or less a game development process also follows. So by default, if you are a software developer, you can easily take up game development as your profession as well. The second part is functionality. When it comes to softwares, it is very much objective. Something works or does not work. But when it comes to games, things are both objective as well as subjective. You have to first test for all the functionality, functional things are working or not, but at the same time you also have to check whether or not what you have built is actually fun to play. So this involves your bug fixes as well as your game balancing. That is what functionality entails. The third part is game design. As a game developer, you will be heavily working with a game design document. For this, your game designer is your best friend. A game designer will provide you with all the values that will actually make your game fun to play. And that is what is needed for a good game. A good game is a balance of good game design. So you will get all the values, how fast your character needs to walk, jump, your scoring system, even your game economy. These are all a very critical aspect of a good game design. The fourth part is testing. When a game is under development, there's a continuous amount of testing that goes into picture. This is perhaps the most critical aspect of a game development lifecycle. That is primarily because if a game is not well tested, then a lot of bugs get encountered by the players, which leaves behind a very negative experience for the player. This can also be divided into multiple stages, namely alpha, beta, and then put into production. And while the game is in production, it goes through a staging process wherein before any build is put out to the market, it is staged and tested with a small set of audience to make sure that whatever is going into production does not have any bugs. So this is actually the final stage of game development. So to understand game development, testing and all these other aspects in further detail, it is very much important for us to understand the evolution of gaming and how things came into picture. That is the reason why we'll have to go a little bit behind the curtains and understand the evolution of gaming. That is what is our next topic. Let us now talk about the evolution of games right from the 8-bit era to now. The very first game on PC developed was Pong. From then till now, we've seen huge amount of upgrades in terms of gameplay, graphics and the entire process that is used to make games. We've seen games like Mario, all the way from Road Rash, Grand Theft Auto 3 and now Red Dead Redemption 2, which looks so real that you can't even differentiate between the game and the real life. This has all been made possible due to the advancements of the softwares that are being used to make games. These softwares are called as game engines. We've seen Unity game engine also mature from making just mobile games to full-fledged quality PC games. Unreal Engine was also made accessible to all when it went free, and now making AAA games is accessible to almost anyone who can imagine becoming a game developer. So thanks to the advancement in terms of technology and the processes that are used in the software development processes, it is actually now much more easier to make games than what it was earlier. Project ideas for software developers to get started in game development. Here are a few projects that you can start on your end to get started as a game developer. The very first classic example that every game developer starts their career in making Unity games is Rollerball example. Then followed by a Flappy Bird game is something that I would personally suggest, because that is wherein you will get a clarity of instantiation as well as your scoring system. Then you can start off making a platformer or an infinite runner game. If you want to execute a 3D game, then you can get started with a first-person shooter game example. You already have multiple examples on the internet. You can follow tutorials to make these games. You can also opt for courses to learn how to create these frameworks. And another example can also be a good racing game, because that will teach you the system of checkpoints and from going from start to your finish line. So these are some of the project ideas that you can easily execute on your end. And what I would recommend you all to do is keep on practicing. Do not stop at any point. Make sure that you are keeping on learning new things and referring other people's source codes, because that is wherein you will get the most amount of information, and that is how you will be able to upgrade yourself as a game developer. Last but not at all the least, let's talk about money. How much do game developers make? Taking a look at Glassdoor salaries and ambitionbox.in website, here are the starting ranges. So a game developer starts earning anywhere between 2 lakhs per annum. It ranges all the way up to 14 lakhs per annum, and the average market salary that a game developer gets is anywhere between 4.5 to 5 lakhs per annum. So that's it from our end. If you as a software engineer want to transition into becoming a game developer, the path for you is very easy. You already have the aptitude required. Bring your imagination to life and keep on practicing, keep on referring to other people's source codes, and keep on making sure that you upgrade yourself. As a game developer, this field is very exciting. You are literally playing the role of a god, creating your own world. So come be a part of this industry. And if you like this video, if you found this interesting, press the like button and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you don't miss any other videos from Scalar Academy. Thank you very much.